Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. My name's Chad. I think a dive with sports. And welcome to my continuing series of my top 50 NFL positions. We've gone over the quarterbacks and running backs, receivers, offensive lines. We always take care of the offensive side. Now we're going to introduce yourself to the defensive side of the ball. And this particular episode, I'm going to deal with the defensive linemen once again. Combined defensive ends, defensive tackles, nose guards, depends how you want to call them, but all the big men in the front of the defense that create the brick wall supposedly to prevent running backs from going in there and create the holes to generate to make get guys in there on sacks. So we're going to look into all those, give you my perspective, the top 50, and then some additional cutting room floor additions. But before I dive into all that, if you could, go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me. Give me a like. It really pleases you two guys. Help promote this channel out. You can also subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps me provide more entertainment value for you. Now, with the defensive linemen, as I've stated in my other videos so far, the evolution of the NFL has greatly advanced throughout the decades. The earlier years of NFL, there were more of a two-way players. When your quarterback's kind of doubling up as a punter or a kicker, and your offensive lineman doubled up as defensive linemen or linebackers, and all that being said, so I don't have very many players from the early days on the defensive side, because I think the early day players is more an offensive style game, more running attack really. So players do play both sides and very well on both sides of the ball. There's not going to be that many on here. I think I only have one that could consider part of that two-way predicament, and that's because he was part of the NFL 100th as a defensive player. So I put him here, and just go ahead and put the name out there. Bill Hewitt is the man in question. So it wasn't until the 1950s in which the NFL really started to separate offensive and defensive players. This is the guy gave more access to all the players that are sitting out there in the world, or in the U.S. mainly, and trying to get specialized in their particular craft, you can say. And it really wasn't until about the 60s when this became a true focal point of a lot of teams. And then in the 70s, you saw the creation of the Steel Curtain, the Purple People Eaters. One of the best defensive names I think I've heard out there. And of course, my personal favorite from the 80s, the Monsters of the Midway. So, as you know, there's a lot of great defenses out there that transpired to this, and a lot of it deals with the front line. You gotta get those big men, plug the holes, pressure the quarterback, get him outside to where he gets sacked. I mean, some of the big guys have some all-time sack leaders, like Bruce Smith. He's an all-time sack leader with 200 sacks to his name. So, he's definitely one of those. And when I was looking at this list, there was quite a few. It was mainly highly on the defensive end position-wise, including some of those defensive ends actually split time as a linebacker. Now, so knows I kind of went back and forth how I would actually place them as either defensive end or linebacker. I kind of went more defensive end than linebacker, but there's a few guys that play defensive end that will be in my linebacker lineup. But looking at my top 50 in terms of this, I end up having 30 Hall of Famers on this list. So that all the Hall of Famers they're in my top 50, but 30 of them. One 4-time AAC champion, 5 times. You have 5 AFL championships, 11 NFL championships, 30 Super Bowl winners, 14 All AFLs. Had 293 All-Pros, 12 AFL All-Stars, 344 Pro Bowlers. Actually had a MVP, which is an extremely rare occurrence for a defensive player to earn that, but he did do that. 24 defensive players of the year. Also him getting 42 selections for the all-decade teams, 2 all-time AFL teams, 2 for the 50th, 7 for the 75th, and 14 members are part of the 100th anniversary teams, including one member is a member of all 3 units. Now you have a member on here that has a member of the CFL's 2000s All-Decade team. He's received 2 CFL, their version of the Defensive Player of the Year, including 2 All-Star appearances. And the funny thing is, he only played 2 years in the CFL. And there's some of them that, if you look at most of the earlier players, I don't have sacks listed because they weren't really counted as of yet. Sacks didn't become an official stat until 1982. In the early days, they didn't really count tackles either. But some of the players around the 70s time frame, they start looking at sacks and gave some unofficial stats for sack totals. So I've included the unofficial numbers as well as official numbers in these tallies. So we'll kind of see a few great members here that will be out there. A few young, well, I would say really young because I think the youngest player on here is Aaron Donald. Spoiler, or probably not. But as with all of my slides, the first player you see is when they first started playing NFL to the most recent. A lot of great names are on here. The Minister of Defense, Reggie White. Mean Joe Green. Just give you a couple other spoilers out there. So, once again, like I said, I put together a little presentation. The guys first in the list. Of course, the older, when they first appeared until the latest. And I'll go ahead and let you enjoy this, and I'll see you on the other side. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that list of my perception of the top 50 defensive linemen. And I guess I think with most of my list, I think about 40 players I think no one's really going to argue with. I know one of the players I put in here in that top 50 that's not getting any love whatsoever was Jerry Mays. It was a great defensive lineman. defensive end actually for the Kansas City Chiefs. Part of their reason for their early their success before the merger, including 3 AFL titles and NFL actually winning a Super Bowl. So that kind of helped solidify the merger that was about to happen. So, but he has no love, he hasn't been in the Hall of Fame, so I'm not sure why his hasn't been added to that one yet, but maybe one of these years. Like I said, there's a lot of names that I wanted to put on there that didn't quite make that cut. As you see, there's a lot of talented players on there, like the Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Deacon Jones, Mean Joe Green, Merlin Olsen, Richard Dent, Charles Haley, just to name a few of the guys that are out there that were just phenomenal during their playing time. But once again, and I got another 50 players to kind of look at. This has been a very focal point, I think, for a lot of defenses to get those big guys in the middle on the trenches to really help stop offenses. So here's my cutting room of the next 20, normally 25, but once again, the next 50. Seems to be a kind of recurring theme. I'll calm down later on, trust me. But here's the next 50. With this next 50, I also have 12 Hall of Famers. So the rest of the Hall of Fame selections are also added in this. 7 AFL champs, 7 NFL champs, 27 Super Bowls, 22 part of the All AFL, 110 All Pros, 15 AFL All Stars, 158 Pro Bowlers, 4 Defensive Players of the Year, including 10 members of the All Decade teams and the remaining members of the All AFL team, which is 5. Now, most of these players didn't really have a lot of going for them outside of that. I do have a member that was part of the All USFL, and it's also the USFL all-time team. Also have a World Bowl champion, played in the World League of American Football back in 1997. And actually, got a championship out of that deal. A couple guys in this list have spent time in the USFL, the World Football League, Canadian leagues. So you got all that going for them, and definitely a huge mixture of individuals. So once again, the drill of my videos. I always start, with the older guys first to the newer guys. And my latest guy on here has been playing that long. I'll go ahead and throw it out there, Nick Bosa. The Bosa brothers and the Watt brothers, these are the two great defensive families, it seems like right now. And, Nick has not really seemed to really project himself as of yet to be that big of a force. But he's still a very talented individual, so that's why I included him in my next 50. I think he should get a few more accolades under his belt before his time's done. Chase Young's another interesting individual to look out for. Fortunately, last year he was injured, so we'll see how that happens, how that translates for him this upcoming season as a commander, to see if he actually commands that defense. But anyways, but he was a great talent coming out of college and getting drafted. He made a huge impact his rookie year, but unfortunately that sophomore season he got injured and that was it. So we kind of see if he can rebound this year. But like I said, this is the next 50, and I'm gonna go ahead and run this for you, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey, thank you for perusing those next 50 of my list of, as you now receive my 100. Once again, this is not a perfect list. Far from it. Like I said, everyone has their definitions of the greatest for that particular position. Um, just like they have their position of the GOATs, the Hall of Famers, and the All Stars, who they thought would be the next rising talent, rising star. So I'm not going to doubt anyone's ideas of a certain player should be in there over another one, except for maybe a few. But like I said, it's just the ramblings of an old man, just kind of providing my little insight of my love for the NFL. But that's the list of the defensive linemen. Next time that I present this list will be the linebackers. So there's a lot of great names in there, to include Singletary, Butkus, Urlacher. Oh wow, they're all Bears. I wonder why. T.J. Watt, Joey Bosa. So Nick Parsons would probably be, Micah Parsons would probably be on this list too. He was just a stud last year. But like I said, there's so many great linebackers. Green, Lambert. It's just so many to go through to provide the top 50 linebackers and those behemoths that disrupt a lot of running attacks, and sometimes they're ball hawks and they're just all over the place. And I look forward to presenting that to you as quickly as possible. As you know, that's the next one in my list. Following that will be the defensive backs, and behind them will be the kickers and punters. I'm not going to do one for returners because the returners will be part of receivers, running backs, and defensive backs. It's where normally you pull your returners from. But hey, just leave a comment down below what you think of these lists. Who did I leave off completely that you think should be on either or? Who in my next should be in the top 50? So it was great to get some nice debates with everyone. That kind of lets me know you all love my work and want me to do more similar stuff to that. While you're there, you can, like I said, you can like this video. You can also share it. It really helps the algorithm out. Once you subscribe, you can hit that bell notification, let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.